مشرفات واسمي فاخر ينفعني درهن في اليوم الآخر
مواهن مساخر
وانا مفاخر ينفعني درهن في اليوم الآخر
شحنا
بواخر في البحر الزاخر
ينفعني درهن في اليوم الآخر
إبلي المشرفات واسمي فاخر ينفعني درهن في اليوم الآخر
هي إبلا ذينا في المحفل ذينا
ينفعني درهن في اليوم الآخر
عجايلات خزين وليل فايزين ينفعني درهن في اليوم الآخر
إبلي المشرفات واسمي فاخر ينفعني درهن في اليوم الآخر
يا ماهن من سوق دنبول
ولا من عيال شمول
ينفعني
درهن في اليوم الآخر
راعيه يوت مقبول ستر الله عليه مسبول ينفعني
The biggest khalwa in Sudan, the Islamic world. The khalwa of Sheikh Abu-Ezza was one of the biggest Quranic schools in Africa and the Middle East. The Sheikh struggled with the harshness and difficulty of life there in the 1940s. The villages in that part of Sudan were dispersed and far apart, and the only available mode of transportation was donkeys. The lives in the isolated countryside were challenging, though, despite the difficulties in their lives, men with Abu-Ezza level of strength and resolve were never stopped by them. In order to start the foundation of one of the future most renowned Quranic schools in Africa and in the Islamic world, the Sheikh had gathered the woods and grass. He began instructing the village children, and it was reported that the number did not go over 5, and soon after, the number of students grew day by day. Nearly more than 6,000 students coming from different places and from different ages were housed in the modest student residence inside the Khalwa. But despite this larger number, it was incredibly quiet, calm, and disciplined. The Sheikh Abdullah, the founder of the Tariqa, son of the Khalwa son, said that despite getting older, his father, who died in 2021, continued to stand by the pupil and guest needs for food and tea from sunrise to sunset every day. Another witness and a visitor to the center in 2014, I came myself to be realized with these facts. The Khalwa financing. The Khalwa's source of funding come from a variety of places. There are different sources. The Khalwa won a sizable plot of land close to the village, and the Sheikh and his son Abdullah are in charge of using it for sesame cultivation during the rainy season. Donations also come from charitable people who traveled from all over the country, as well as from the relatives and parents of the Khalwa's students. This gives either goods or money, depending on the type, while they only asking and waiting the Sheikh dua or supplication. Those visitors and donors compete in giving and donating to the Khalwa. The little child arrives at the Khalwa knowing nothing and unable to read or write. So that after a period of time spent in the Khalwa, whether it be bigger or shorter years, he graduates as a school memorizer and possessor of life knowledge and job. Once again, I would like to say and repeat: the Khalwa on students' accommodation depends on itself in all aspects of its varied task. They are huge lands of farming on both two levels of farming: the traditional farming system and the mechanical one. The senior students, mainly the memorizers of the Quran, were allowed to rent a portion of land from the local inhabitants. So an individual rent muhammas, a portion of land to be cultivated, as they call it there, and cultivate that portion of land with theism. So on harvesting the crop is sold, and this helped the students to satisfy mainly the memorizers of the book, to satisfy their needs of clothing and buying the fiqh book, which were taught at the Khalwa. This word, by the way, it has been informed and told by a student that I interviewed during my visit to them in 2014. Abu-Ezza and politics. Following his story life, Sheikh Abu-Ezza only priority and concern is his student of the Khalwa. No doubt if he stood aloof from politics and politicians, they do not stand aloof from him. So the social reform on his own way, politicians are not always on his door seeking the support. So he used to be visited from all level of men in ruling. However, when visited by head of state or the rulers of Kordofan or the ministers of Khartoum or the notables of society and the people of money, it is enough to greet them and then leave directly to embarrass his students again. And his biggest concern is not to be caught by a camera lens that ignores the moment he shakes hand with the guest. His son Sheikh Abdullah, as well as the family members, as well as the outstanding figures in the masjid, shall be in charge of welcoming and sitting with the visitors, from president of the state to any other visitor. He always tried to keep away from politics and politicians, as well as the men of wealth. He took a clever stance, since he believed that scholar is best off keeping himself apart from the ruling class. He considers those men of ruling and wealth like the other ordinary people. The writer Muhammad Khair Awadullah narrated an incident that during a visit to President al-Bashir to Kordofan, he paid the visit to the Sheikh at his own center at Ushara. The daily schedule at his Khalwa remained as usual. The Sheikh schedule at his own Khalwa with his student remained as usual, despite that the president in his visit, and the Sheikh kept up his purpose of guiding his students as they learn the Quran. While he was in the Qur'aniya, the place where a student gathered to be taught the Quran, a man approached him and said, "My master, the president," informing him that the president was there in his masjid and Khalwa. A man came to him again while he was in his very same place in the Qur'aniya with his students. "My master, the president and the governor and the delegations are in yours waiting." The Sheikh answered, so serious. The Sheikh answer was so serious. Still, we have a lot to do. If they have patience to wait, give them the hospitality. If not, they may leave. The delegation, the governor, and the president were compelled to alter their own plans rather than the sheikh. This is just indicate that the sheikh has no other concern nor care, only his students, that who considers them are deposit from God, and at the same time they are trust from their parents that have been handed to him to educate them, to learn them, to have and to instill in them the good behavior and manners. The significant festival and the famous annual visit. Throughout the history of the Halwa, one of the remarkable festivals inside the center, which held annually, is the graduation ceremony of the memorization of the Holy Quran. A lot of people come to witness this great occasion. Officials from government as well as of the Sufi Shuyukh, in addition to the parents of the students under the festival celebration, use all of these figures used to attend the ceremony. Also, and from ancient time, one of the remarkable and regular visit that paid by the Sheikh Abu-Ezza and his students following the end of the agricultural harvest season is their annual visit to the center of the Yaqubab, mainly the Masjid of Sheikh Atom Wad Banaga. And as we have stated, that Sheikh Atom Wad Banaga is the guide and the Sheikh of Abu-Ezza, and through his grandson, through the grandson of a Sheikh Tom, that is Sheikh Hayat al-Masi. By the way, Sheikh Hayat al-Masi is a teacher of a Sheikh Abdullah Ud al-Abbas, who in turn is the direct Sheikh of Abu-Ezza. So Sheikh Abu-Ezza with his students from very ancient time used to pay an annual visit to that famous center of the Samanis. In addition to other visit is that one which always happen at the third day of Eid to the center of his Sheikh, his direct Sheikh, that is a Sheikh Abdullah Wad al-Abbas at the village of Zaidan. Poetry on the praising of the Quran. As has been said in literature teaching and learning, poetry achieves a variety of functions. It can serve as a means of self-expression, a description of the beauty of the world, amusement, or even as tool of teaching. Poetry is used here in this Quranic center. It used to teach the Quran as well as transmitting Islamic values. Being a witness, I attended a Sufi of Zikr, a Sufi circle of Dhikr, where the tambourine and drum are employed. The poetry performed in this session or in this circle of Dhikr mainly focus on the language and culture of the memorization of the Holy Quran. Though this collection of poems which used and utilized in the Sufi on the circle of Dhikr is written by Sheikh Abdullah, the older son of Sheikh Abu-Ezza, while its central themes represented in the beauty, reflecting the beauty of the Quran, life in the Halwa, its literature, culture, and terminologies. At the end of this episode, I would like to restate that throughout our life, we always find shining exemplars of selfless servitude, dedication, and commitment to a cause greater than themselves. People whose legacy of goodness remains long after they have departed from this world and their own hands no longer toil. These individuals continue to have an impact on the world long after they left our temporal existence. because they lived and breathed the values they committed to. Among those was the influential Quranic teacher that we explored a glimpse of his story life with the teaching of the Quran. Our Sheikh, the perfect aesthetic teacher, Muhammad Ahmad Abu-Ezza. Thus, if the great miracle of Sheikh al-Burai was in his poetry production as we described in the episode that we presented to him, then Sheikh Abu-Ezza's miracle is in the countless memorizers of the glorious Quran who are dispersed and scattered across the entire country. He is a mujahid with the true sense of the word meaning, and his fight followed the jihad of the wooden slate and pen, following a life filled with accomplishment and moral actions. Sheikh Abu-Ezza died in 2021 and was buried at Ushara, the location of his Quranic school. Sheikh Abdullah, his son, succeeded him.
شحنا بواخر
آخر في البحر الذاخر
ينفعني درهن في اليوم الآخر
إبليل المشرفات وسمين